previous class, for the fifth chapter, we have learned about the, we can say, we have learned about that test planning elements. Now we have to learn about the summary report. Okay, so before that, we have to just see what is this test progress monitoring and control. Okay, now for the test progress monitoring, uh, having developed the test plan, the activities and time scales determined within it need to be constantly reviewed again. What is actually happening? This is test progress monitoring. The purpose of test progress monitoring is to provide feedback and visibility of the progress of test activities. The data required to monitor progress can be collected manually. Example, continuing test cases development at the end of each day, or with the advent of sophisticated test management tools, it also possible to collect the data as an automatic output from a tool, either already formatted into a report or as a data file that can be manipulated to present a picture of progress. So they are saying like, uh, for the test progress, we will be needing to check like everything is working fine or not, which we have planned previously. So for that, they are saying either we can do it manually, like we can check, prepare the report and manually we can check that. Otherwise, in the automation process, we can just do that thing, like we can schedule like that much part is completed, and it will show a complete graph kind of thing, automatically track your progress of the testing. So in that way, we can control your testing activities. The progress data is also used to measure exit criteria such as test coverage. Example, 50% requirement coverage achieved. So now you have defined in your test plan like these many requirements will be there. Now for this requirements, it is very essential. We have to check like how many requirements we have covered. So in that way we'll be able to understand, yeah, this much testing is completed. So for that progress and monitoring, they can use such kind of tool to check like how much progress is there as per the test plan which we have prepared. Now common test metrics include, in the test metrics, for what mainly we are checking. So first is percentage of work done in test case preparation, or percentage of planned test case prepared. Now it is not required to just we can say you have to remember everything as it is, which it is written here. For that, it is depend on the industry what they want to actually show. We can say if they want to show, mainly they want to focus on the test cases coverage, then as per that they can use a kind of tool to show that test case coverage only. Someone wants to show the defects mainly, so what they will do, they will take a tool like that in which mainly defects will be on the focus part. So this is depend totally on the industry. So now they are saying what kind of things we can show in that progress monitoring tool. So first one is percentage of work done in test case preparation. Second is percentage of work done in test environment preparation. And then test case execution, like number of test cases run, not run, how many passed, failed, how many test cases remaining, how many defects we got. So all these things we can show in that progress monitoring. So next is like defect information, as I already told you, like defect in density, defect found and fixed, failure rate, retest result. So it is totally depend what you want to show. In terms of defect, when we will be working, uh, sometimes we have to show like how many defects are critical and how many defects are like normal defects which are not having the high priority and severity. So For those defects, they want to focus in the report, so that in future they can use that particular report. If they have to see in that project or product how many defects, or in that application how many major defects or critical defects we have found, so in that way they want to just check that. Test coverage of requirements, risk or code risks also we can define. After that, subjective confidence of testers in the product, dates of test, milestone we can define. There are so many tools available today, like in the agile model as well, we are using so many tools to define the milestone, a particular milestone for a project or product. So in that way we can define the milestone for the testing activities as well. Now, testing cost, including the cost compared with the benefit of finding the next defect or to run the next test. So we can define the cost as well. After that, including the cost compared with the benefit of finding the next defect or to run the next test. So these things we can also define. Ultimately, test metrics are used to track progress towards the completion of testing. So this is the main thing. Where if someone is asking you like what is test metrics, so it is used to track progress towards the completion of testing. Metrics is mainly for which we are preparing for the to check the progress, which is determined by exit criteria. So test metrics should relate directly with the exit criteria. This kind of question might be appear in the ISTQB. What is relate with the exit criteria? So you have to choose the option as test metrics. Okay. Now there's a trend towards dashboard which reflect all the relevant metrics on a single screen or page, ensuring maximum impact for a dashboard. And generally, when delivering metrics, it is best to use a relatively small but impact worthy subset of the various metric options available. So, uh, see, today we all know like nobody wants to see the information only in terms of text. Everyone wants to see the information in terms of graphical representation. So they are saying like you should not be having to check the information of 100 page. So for the progress you can uh, choose a tool like that, in which it's a kind of graphical representation on a single page, or on a 2 to 3 page you'll get all kind of information. For example, in a one page you can show everything about the test cases control, or the test cases progress. Second page you can mainly show about the defect progress, and third page you can show about the summary. So in that way they are saying like it is not, you have to choose your tool wisely which can show your data very in a very good way. This is a kind of figure they are just showing us like testing executing dashboard. So this is a kind of page. In a single page they are showing everything. Let me just zoom it. Hmm. So here they are showing the key information like what is the progress, what is the issues. Okay, issues is like sickness, software configuration, bad code, time, everything. Progress like execution, slippage due to lack of correct version of software in environment. Actual error rate is below plan. So whatever things are there currently going in your testing activities, everything you can mention under this progress. And if any kind of risk or issues are there, so we can mention here in this slide. This is a kind of graphical representation. uh, Date versus number of tests executed. So as per that they are showing like how many test cases they have planned and how many actually they are executing. So this is a kind of execution chart. And this is also a kind of graphical representation which they are showing like date and number, same thing. and this is also open incidents by priority. So this is a kind of defect report, this one and this one. So how many defects we got and how many defects are open currently, so they are just showing here. For example, high, medium, low cosmetic kind of defect. So how many defects are open? 30 defects are open of high priority or high severity. Medium kind of defects are 35. So this kind of report we can prepare to check the progress. Okay, so here they are showing more elaborative way, like in bottom. Let me just zoom it. Hmm. In bottom, you can see as per the dates, they have just showing like the planning, whatever they have done, and actuality, what is happening, and new, how many new defects they got, how many defects are in test, how many failed. So these kind of things, it totally depends on the organization, which type of chart they want. So accordingly we can just show the data to them, so that it will be very easy for stakeholders also to check the progress of your testing activities. Now, the main part which we have to learn is test reporting. So, I already explained you about the 16 elements of test plan, which you have to remember by heart, as well as what kind of part is we can say, if we are having the 16 elements, and what element is used for what purpose, it is very important to remember. So just learn about that. And the second important part in this chapter is this test reporting. So we are having some kind of elements for reporting purpose as well, which you have to remember by heart, because definitely you'll get a kind of question from test plan and test reporting. Okay. Now, test reporting is the process whereby test metrics are reported in summarized format to update the reader regarding the testing tasks undertaken. The information reported can include what has happened during a given period of time, example, a week, a test level, or the whole test endeavor, or when exit criteria have met. So, in reporting, we have to define everything from starting to end, whatever we have planned, whether it is complete or not. So, mainly in the test reporting, we have to define exit criteria in very elaborative way, uh, in terms of whatever we defined. Okay. Analyzed information and metrics required to support recommendations and decisions about failure actions, such as an assessment of defects remaining, the economic benefit of continued testing. Example, additional tests are exponentially more expensive than the benefit of running, outstanding risk, the level of confidence of whatever we actually learn in the progress thing now, that we have to show under the test report. So in this test report, we will mainly show the risk, we can say the test cases progress, defect progress. Apart from that, the level of confidence in the test software. For example, you have found 50 defects, but 45 defects are open and only 5 are fixed. So definitely it will be a critical release, correct? So in that way, you have to uh, check everything in very precise way, and in a test reporting you have to mention everything in a way like everyone can understand actual software confidence. Now, the IEEE 829 standard includes an outline of a test summary report that could be used for test reporting. So this standard name maybe you will be asking. So just remember both the standards name. First one is for the test plan, which I shown you in the last class, and this one is for the test reporting. So this kind of question might be they will be asking what is the standard name for test reporting. So you have to choose this IEEE 829. And for test planning, I have already explained, so just remember it from there. The structure defined in the outline is shown in the table. So this is the test summary report outline. Here we are not having those 16 elements. We are having around 8 to 10 elements, but you just have to remember. First one is test summary report identifier, the specific identifier allocated to this document. Example, TSR, and the version of that, we can say version. So every time when we are just closing the testing, now we have to prepare this report, which we are calling as TSR. So in this TSR, first element will be the test summary report identifier. So we will define just one kind of name, TSR, and the specific identifier allocated to this document. Whoever is the allocated for this document will provide the name of that person here, and after that we have to define the version. For example, 1.0 or 1.0.1, kind of that. Now, summary identifies the items tested, including any version numbers, document the environments in which the test activity being reported on took place, reference the testing documents for each test item. Example, test plan, test cases, test defect reports, everything we are defining under summary. If someone will ask you where we are defining the test environment, then answer will be summary. Okay. Now, where we'll be defining test plan, test cases, test defect reports, everything we have to define under the summary element of test summary report. Okay. Now, variances reports deviation from the test approach of or strategy, test plan, test specification, or test procedure. So variances, as the name suggests, if we are getting any kind of variant, so if any kind of deviation will be there from the test approach or strategy, then we will be defining this thing under this variance. So if you will get that kind of thing in your question, like where we'll be defining the report deviation, so we'll be defining under this variances. Okay.
Nancy, one doubt.
Mhm. Okay, so it is like you have planned something, okay, like it should work in that way, and it's a kind of, we can say, report deviation from the test approach or strategy, test plan, test specification, and test procedure. So whatever you have planned, and if it is not going in that direction, or it is not going in that in the correct way, then you will be defining under this variances. It's a kind of deviation. We can say, like we have planned, and we can say, let me just think, like because in my organization I have not used this variance term. Okay, so
Okay.
mainly when it is actually, it is the document in terms of ISTQB. Okay, but
Okay.
when you will be preparing now, it is not required to define all the elements. Mainly you have to define summary in this TSR report, which is very important. But this variance I have not defined. I will check and I will let you know the example of it. Okay. Okay. Now the other one is this comprehensive assessment. Comprehensive assessment is like measures the actual progress made against the exit criteria and explains why any differences have arisen. So we can say, like in comprehensive assessment, we have to define the actual progress made against the exit criteria. So in that we'll be defining a kind of graphical representation in which we are checking what is the actual progress made as per the test cases. So in that graphical representation, maybe we'll be having that many number of test cases, and we have completed that many test cases as per the exit criteria defined under the test plan. So in this comprehensive assessment, we will be defining like for example, uh, you are having the 700 test cases, okay, and as in the exit criteria it is defined like 80% execution should be completed. So in the test plan, so in this comprehensive assessment, when you will be checking, you will check as per the 80% of 700 how many test cases I have executed. If that is meeting, then definitely you will be defining it as a green line. Yeah, I'm good. But if that criteria is not meeting and you have executed say 60 or 70% of cases, then why you have not executed those 10 or 15% test cases? You have to define this under this comprehensive assessment, the reason of that. For example, you can define like maybe the release date is come, or you can define we have executed all the major or critical test cases, so we can release it for now, and we will execute the remaining 10 to 15% in the next release cycle. So you have to define everything here. Now the summary results provides an overview of the results from the test activities. It should include details of defects raised and fixed, as well as those that remain unresolved. So summary results is like same of summary, but here we have to define the overview of the results from the test activities. In summary, you have to define everything under like in the detailed way, but in summary results you just have to define an overview of summary, you can say. You can just define the defect raised and fixed, just the count of test cases, and as well as if any critical defect is open or how many unresolved, everything. So in summary you will define the reason as well of that defects, test cases, progress, risk, everything. But in summary result you just have to define in very short way, okay. Now, evaluation provides an evaluation of the quality of each test item, including a view of the risk of failure in production of these test items based upon the test result matrix and test item pass or fail criteria. Evaluation is like providing the evaluation of the quality of each test item, including a view of risk of failure in production of these test items based upon the test result matrix and test item pass or fail criteria. So in evaluation you will provide the quality. Actually, test item will be like test cases, we can say the defects. So in evaluation we will be defining a kind of percentage, we can say, in terms of the test case percentage, defect percentage, how much we are confident, and what is the quality of what will be the quality of our software. So we'll be defining, we will be evaluating our product here. So we just have to define three or four kinds of three or four lines of text here regarding this evaluation, or maybe if stakeholder wants, then we have to provide the evaluation in a detailed way. So it totally depends which type of things they want. After that we'll be having the summary of activities. So it is like we have defined the summary, after that we have defined the summary result. Now we'll be defining summary of activities. A summary of the major test activities and events such as test environment unavailability, success or weakness of the test specification process. So in summary of activities, we will be defining a summary of the major test activities and events such as test environment unavailability, success or weakness of the test specification process, etc. So what can I say? So you have done every test activity. Now you have to define the summary. So in which you will mainly, we can say, define not everything, but the major part. Like we can say, uh, for example, you have defined any kind of test specification or the test cases process. and you have done in very well way, and you have not found any kind of obstacles there, then you will define under this summary of activities. For example, you will be needing that kind of test environment, but uh, the quality of that test environment was not at that much good. So you will be defining under this summary of activities how many testers we can say executed a particular number of test cases which you have planned, how many uh, we can say major or critical defects which have found by a particular person. So every kind of things you can define under this summary of activities. Now the last element will be approvals. So approvals is like identifies all approvers of the document. So it's a kind of signing thing. In the last, you will be defining the approvals. For example, your test manager, or maybe some kind of stakeholders will be approving that report, or test lead will be approving that report. So every person name and their sign will be there under the test report document. Now, okay, so after this, we have to learn this test control activities. Hmm. We have referred about to the collection and reporting of progress data. Test control uses this information to decide on a course of action to ensure control of the test activities is maintained and exit criteria are met. So test control activities will be like whatever progress report we have made, we have prepared. If anything is not meeting, then what action we have to take. So that is a kind of control activity which is opposite of the progress. Okay. Now this is particularly required when the planned test activities are behind schedule. The actions taken could impact any of the test activities and may also affect other software lifecycle activities. So we'll be define if particular thing is not meeting, then what should be the action of that. Okay, so example of test control activities are as follows. Making decisions based on information from test monitoring, like what would be the decision on information from test monitoring, like reprioritize test when an identified project risk occurs. So for example, any kind of risk will be appear at a time, then you have to reprioritize your testing activities or the test cases. So that is a kind of control activity. Change the test schedule due to availability of a test environment. Maybe test environment is not available at that time, then you have to change the test schedule. So that will come under the control activity. Set an entry criterion requiring fixes to be retested by a developer before accepting them to into a build. This is particularly useful when defect fixes continually fail again when retested. Maybe it's kind of situation like you'll be continually testing a particular defect, but you will be getting again it's not working. Then definitely you will tell to your test lead or test manager, like I am just testing this defect that many times and it is not working. Then definitely it's a kind of responsibility of developer to firstly unit test that defect, then only provide you the build. Now, next control activity will be a review of product risk and perhaps changing the risk ratings to meet the target. Maybe sometimes we have to change the risk criteria as well. So that will come under the control activity. Adjusting the scope of the testing, perhaps the amount of tests to be run to manage the testing of late change requests. So this I have already explained. Sometimes you are not having that much time to complete all the test cases which you have planned. So in that way, you have to adjust the scope of testing. So it's a kind of control activity, and after that you will be done, then you will be preparing that test summary report. Okay. So, see, in variances, mainly we will be defining any kind of deviation which we have planned. So, for example, in the time of test planning, you have like planned like this will be my entry criteria, this will be my exit criteria, and we can say uh, who will be doing this kind of activity. But at the time of test closure, you found that actually that person was not involved, and that person was not available to do that particular task. So you will define that kind of variances. The first example, maybe you have defined the six testers will be involved in that activity, but only four or five will be five were we can say available at the time of testing, and two people are not available. So you will define a kind of variances like these many test cases have planned for these many persons, but they have not available. So this is a kind of deviation. The second thing will be maybe you have defined like this will be of entry criteria and this will be of exit criteria, but there is a kind of deviation. For example, environment changes. uh, we can say you have to do it on that environment, but you are actually doing or testing in the different environment. Then you will define that environment changes kind of thing in the deviation part of that report. So it's a kind of example for that variances, like if there's any kind of deviation from what actually you have planned under the planning, so you will be defining under this variances column. Okay.
Okay, got it. Thank
Hmm.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Now we will be just checking this test control, and here we just have to read this 2 to 3 points. So the following test control activities are likely to be outside the test leader's responsibility. One moment. Hmm. However, this should not stop the test leader making a recommendation to a project manager. So it's a kind of test control activities likely to be outside the test leader's responsibility. So we all know like we'll be having a test leader and then test manager. So some of the activities will be planned by test leader and some of the activities are planned to the test manager. So these are the activities which are planned outside of the test leader, but maybe he or she can also involve here. So first is de-scoping functionality, that is removing some less important planned deliverables from the initial deliverables delivered solution to reduce the time and effort required to achieve that solution. If, for example, uh, we can say deadline is meet and we got so many defects, so definitely we have to de-scope some of the things. So mainly it's the responsibility of test manager. Test lead will be just give his or her opinion to the test manager, like we are reaching to the, we can say, the release date, and we have to just review everything, like these many defects are open, and also we have not executed that many test cases. Then we have to de-scope some of the functionality for this release. So test manager will decide that what part is critical and what part is required in this release and what is not required right now. So in that way he can de-scope some of the functionality. Now, delaying release into the production environment until exit criteria have been met. For example, you have defined the exit criteria, but exit criteria is not meeting. So you have to delay your release into the production environment. So that part definitely will be deciding by the uh, test manager, whether he or she should be, we can say, change the exit criteria, or whether he or she wants to delay the release. So that we can say decision will be taken by the test manager. Now, continuing testing after delivery into the production environment so that defects are found before they occur in the production. Now, after delivering the production environment delivery, we just want to continue testing or not. So that decision will be taken by the test manager only. So maybe we will not have that much time and we are just releasing the product, but we want more testing or not after releasing, then definitely it's a call of the we can say test manager or stakeholder, like what we have to do after the release. So that decision will be taken by the higher authority. Now, check of understanding, like name four common test metrics. So this is a kind of test matrix, we can say. First we have learn about the test cases uh, matrix report. Second will be the incident or the defect matrix report. Okay. Now the third will be we can say whatever we want. Third one may be the uh, risk matrix report, or whatever the metrics actually organization wants. So as per that, we are just preparing that chart. So you can just go through that slide again, or maybe these are the two important we can say metric reports. First one is test cases one, and second is the defect. Other one is like least important, but you can, as per the standard of the organization, they are just preparing these metrics report. Now, name the 8 headings in the IEEE 829 summary report, so that you have to remember from this. So just read it and just understand every point one more time, and just remember the name as it is, whatever written in this slides. Now, identify 3 ways a test leader can control testing if there are more tests than there is time to complete. What they are saying, identify 3 ways a test leader can control testing if there are more tests than there is time to complete. Okay. So this is a kind of your approach actually. So at the test, this is a kind of test leader approach. If time is not remaining and we have to execute more and more reports, so how he or she can control the testing? So that you have to think and just provide the answer, like how we can just control the things. So for example, one way I can say, like maybe more tests are there, and there is we can say time, there is less time, so definitely you can include more resources to complete that test activity. But he or she should have knowledge about that product, that then definitely he or she can involve in this testing activity. Okay. Now, second thing, maybe what we can do here, say we are having the less number of time, then we can prioritize the test cases, how many test cases we have to actually execute, and how many test cases we can execute later. So in that way, it's a kind of example in which we can control the test activities. Okay. Now, incident management. Hmm. An incident is any unplanned event occurring that requires further investigation. So we can say what we are just understanding incident and defect is same, but it's not a kind of thing in terms of ISTQB. They are just referring incident and defect to two terms. Actually, defect they are calling is like which is coming under the test case, which will come after the test cases execution. And Incident management is like they are telling any kind of unplanned activity which will come in the testing process, then they are calling the term as the incident. Okay, so don't get confused. Now, an incident is any unplanned event occurring that requires further investigation. In testing, this translates into anything where the actual result is different to the expected results. So maybe we have planned entry criteria as like that, and actually entry criteria is different. Then definitely it's a kind of incident. We have planned exit criteria or risk like that, and it is not uh, actually happening, so it's a kind of incident. So it can be anything. It is not like only you have executed the test cases and you are just getting the defects. Okay, an incident, when investigated, may be a defect. However, it may also be a change to a specification or an issue with the test being run. So that I already explained. It is important that a process exists to track all incident through to closure. So it's not like girls, we just have to close the defects. We just have to close the incidents as well. For example, if any kind of deviation will come, then definitely you have to provide the reason to close that report, or we can say to close that point. So you just not have to write only, you just have to provide the valid reason as well to close that point. So it is a kind of incident closure. As we are closing the defects, then we have to close the incidents as well. Okay, one moment. So here they are just explaining some kind of we can say the objective. Incidents can be raised at any time. So this is the same thing they are just explaining, like software development life cycle, from reviews of test bases, requirement specification, etc., to test specification and test execution. So it can come at any time. It is not like you can define the incident at the starting or end level only. You can define at any time. Now, incident management according to IEEE 1044. So this is the third standard which you have to remember. First is for the test planning. You have to remember the name. Second, you have to remember for the test summary. And third, you have to remember for the incident management, which will be IEEE 1044. From three of them, you will be definitely getting one or two questions. So just note it down somewhere, like you have to remember these three incidents. Okay, the process of recognizing, investigating, taking action, and disposing of incidents. So we have to mainly learn this objectives. Hmm. Incidents are raised and incident reports either electronically via an incident management system, from Microsoft Excel to sophisticated incident management tools, or on paper. So it's the similar kind of approach which we have just prepared for the summary report. So it's a call of say organization standard, how they want to see that incident. Maybe you can define it in Excel, or maybe you can define in a better way in terms of the graphical representation. So it's a kind of call to the organization. Okay, now to provide what are the objectives of that incident report when we are actually preparing it? To provide developers and other parties with feedback on the problem, to enable identification, isolation, and correction as necessary. It must be remembered that the most developers and other parties who will correct the defect or clear up any confusion will not be present at the point of identification. So, without full and concise information, they will be unable to understand the problem. and possibly therefore unable to understand how to go about fixing it. The more information provided, the better. So every incident or every defect you have to elaborate in this incident report. So in summary report, what you have defined, how, these many defects I have found, and these are critical ones, these are, we can say, lower severity or priority defect, these are medium severity but you have not defined every incident in detailed way in the test summary report, where you will be defining these detail under this incident management report. So in this incident management report, we will be defining a common or non, we can say, any type of incident, as well as the defect detail explanation. Okay. Now, to provide test leaders with a means of tracking the quality of the system under test and the progress of the testing, one of the key metrics used to measure progress is a view of how many incidents are raised, their priority, and finally that they have been corrected and sign off. Then you will be defining everything in detailed way, so that test lead or test manager, stakeholders, everyone, if they want, like, what is happening and what is the going on that particular incident, so you will just go to just give them that incident report, like this is the kind of discussion and this is the final incident report which we have prepared, by which you can check every incident in detailed way. Now, the details are that are normally included. Now, what kind of details we will be including in this incident report? So date of issue, issuing organization, author, approvals, and status. The same which we are just defining in the summary report, we have to define here as well. Who will be the author? Who is approving that document, and the status of that incident report. So we can say status will be, if that incident report is not completed, then you will not define the status as completed, you will define the status as in progress for that incident report. Now, your organization name, what is the date of issue, and who is the author, who are the approvals. So everything you can define in the incident report. Now, as we already discussed, like scope, severity, priority of the incident, references including the identity of the test case specification that reveal the problem. Now you can define the reference as well, like you got this defect and which is related to this requirement or this test case, so you can just map as well for that defect. So you can just provide a kind of id for, we can say, this is the incident id or the defect id, and you can just define the test case id or requirement id in the same incident document or the incident report. Expected and actual results, date, the incident was discovered. We can just define the date as well when that incident was discovered. Identification of the test item, we can define both the dates actually in this incident report. First is like when that defect has occurred and when that incident or defect is closing. So both the things we can define in this report. Identification of the test item, configuration item, and environment. Now you can also map your defect or incident with the environment or the test item, configuration item, whatever you want to define, you can define for that incident. Software or system lifecycle process in which the incident was observed. Maybe you got that incident at the requirement level itself, maybe you got at the development level or the testing level or the execution level. Whatever level you got that incident or defect, you can define that level as well. Description of the incident to enable reproduction and resolution, including logs, database dumps, or screenshots. So if you want, you can define that under this incident report, you can define the description, or we can say how we can reproduce that incident, logs or any kind of database information, screenshot. Everything you can define under this detailed way. So it's a kind of same, we can say, the defect report which we are preparing when we are actually providing any defect to the developer. So we have to define everything in a detailed way, like steps to reproduce of that particular defect, then if any kind of screenshots or logs, or we can say reproduce the steps, or everything we are just defining. And when we are closing the defect, we are just providing our comments as well, like what is the resolution of that defect. So this is the same thing which they are explaining under this incident report. Now, degree of impact on stakeholders interest. uh, in terms of stakeholders, what is the severity and priority of that defect, so that also you can define. The same thing, severity of the impact on the system, urgency or priority to fix, severity, priority, this thing also you can define. Now, status of the incident, open, deferred, duplicate, waiting to be fixed, fixed, awaiting confirmation, test, or close. So that you already know, like open is when we are just opening that incident. Now, after that, we'll be having deferred. If that defect to be resolved in the next life cycle, then its status will be deferred. Maybe it's a kind of same incident, so status will be duplicate. It's a kind of waiting to be fixed. If that defect is in progress by developer, so its status will be waiting to be fixed. And when developers is fixing that, then they will change the status to fixed. And then after that, we'll be having awaiting confirmation test, or last status will be closed. Now, conclusions, recommendations, and approvals, that also you can define under this incident report. What is the conclusion, recommendations, or any kind of approvals? Global issues, such as other areas that may be affected by a change resulting from the incident. Now, change history, such as the sequence of actions taken by project team members with respect to the incident, or isolate, repair, and confirm it as fixed. If it is a kind of any change history, then you will be defining under this incident reports. For example, the actions taken by project team members with respect to the incident to isolate, repair, and confirm it as fixed. So, under this change history, you will be defining everything, when that defect was come, then who is fixed that, and after that, who is tested that, who is closed that. So everything will come under this change history. After that, this is the same. The syllabus also recognizes that IEEE 829 contains the outline of a test incident report. So now it's a we have learned about that summary report elements. Now they are just explaining what can be the incident report outline. So first will be same, which is the incident report identifier. Now, a unique identifier assigned to this test incident report, actually the name of the person. Now, summary. Summary of the incident detailing where expected and actual results differ, uh, identifying at a high level the items that are affected and the steps leading up to the recognition of the incident. Example, if in test execution, which test was executed and the actual keystrokes and data loaded. So in summary of the incident, what you will be defining, like actual and expected result differ thing, and after that you'll be defining steps to reproduce for that defect, any kind of, we can say, the screenshot or the data required. So everything you will be defining under this summary. Now, incident description. Under this incident description, a detailed description of the incident, which should include input, expected result, actual result, anomalies, date and time, procedure step. So everything will be come under this description. Now we will be having this environment, attempts to repeat, tester comment, observers comment, everything will come under this description only. And fourth one is impact. So impact is like should also include any information regarding impact is like if known, document what impact the incident has on progress. So this is not more important, but you have to just remember these 4 points if someone is asking you in terms of ISTQB, what are that four elements which you have to define. So first you will remember easily, which is the report identifier. Summary and description. Summary is a kind of we can say short description of that incident, and incident description is like the detailed description where everything will be defining in detail. And last one is that impact. So impact is like if known, document what impact the incident has on progress. So we will be defining the impact here. For example, we can say the NC what kind of impact will be in our software application or in our product, like we will be define, for example, the severity and priority will come under this impact section. Okay. And now we can say uh, what would be the impact of that defect to other test cases, that can also be defined under this impact part. Okay. Now identify three details that are usually included in an incident report. So you can just, I have just explained it to those four elements. So these are the details. And what is the name of the standard that includes an outline of a test incident report? So this is the same which is IEEE 829. Okay. Now, what is a test incident? So it's a kind of definition where actual and expected result differed, and incident, uh, we can say incident in terms of ISTQB. You just have to read that line which I explained you in this slide. Incidents. Uh, Let me just go through again so that I can, that you know which you have to remember here. Okay. This is the line. An incident is any unplanned event occurring that requires further investigation. So this is the line which you have to remember in terms of ISTQB. What is the incident definition? Okay.
Nancy, one doubt.
Mm-hmm.
This we have told that IEEE 829
Hmm.
defines the incident report outline.
Hmm.
Okay, and so before we have defined one IEEE 1044. What
Hmm.
is defined in that one?
Okay.
IEEE 1. What is the difference? Like, what is in IEEE 10? I understood what is in IEEE 829, but what
Mm-hmm.
is in IEEE 1044?
Okay. So IEEE 829 is mainly for this four type of elements which they have defined. But actually IEEE 1044 not define any kind of we can say report document. Okay, it has just
Mm.
defined the standards in their theoretical way, but they have not defined in the detailed way, we can say. So IEEE 829 we are mainly using. Okay. But IEEE 1044, they have just defined the what is incident and how can we define the incident in terms of their way. So these are the
Okay.
both incident, uh, both type of standards are defining their own way to define the incident, but IEEE 1044 not define any kind of report format, but
Okay.
IEEE 829 defined a report format. Okay.
Okay. Understood.
Okay. Now, this is the configuration management. Configuration management is the process of managing products, facilities, and process by managing the information about them, including changes and ensuring they are what they are supposed to be in every case. So, configuration management is the process of managing products, facilities, and processes by managing the information about them. So, In configuration management, we are just, for example, defining the outline, or we can say the things in which we are just defining the process and facilities, and we can say the information about that thing. So for testing, what is actually the configuration management? So for testing, configuration management will involve controlling both the versions of code to be tested and the documents used during the development process. Example, requirement, design, plan, summary report, everything. So configuration management is a kind of management which uh, we can say we are just configuring the things, we can say the version of the document mainly. For example, requirement document, then design document, then planning document, then summary report document, then incident management report document. Everything will come under this configuration management. In both instances, configuration management should ensure traceability throughout the test process. Example, requirement should be traceable through to the test case that are run to test its level of quality and vice versa. So it's a kind of thing, and under this configuration management, we are just tracing the things. For example, we are tracing the requirements from the test cases, or maybe we can trace the test cases in test cases with the defects. So this tracing part we will be done in this configuration management. So we are not having any kind of report for this, it's a just kind of theoretical thing. Effective configuration management is important for the test process, as the contents of each release of software into a test environment must be understood and at the correct version. Otherwise, testers could end up wasting time because in most because either they are testing an invalid release of the software, or the release does not integrate successfully, leading to the failure of many tests. So just understand, like, configuration management is very important, because if you are referring not the correct version of document and you are just performing the testing, then definitely you are doing your work in wrong manner. So then firstly you have to just pick the correct version of the document. Then only after the confirmation you have to start your work. Whether you are just for example, you are just taking the planning document wrong version and you have just started the testing, or you are new to your team and you don't know the correct version of test cases document, and you are just referring the wrong version and you are just reporting the defects, then definitely it is not good. So firstly take the confirmation, then only start the testing. In most instances, the project will have already established its configuration management process that will define the documents and code to be held under configuration management. If this is not the case, then during test planning and the process and tools required to establish the right configuration management process will need to be selected or implemented by the test leader. So we have to use the correct configuration management. We have to just update everything each time, so that it will not be a kind of confusion. The same principle applies to testware. Each item of testware should have its own version number and be linked to the version of the software it was used to test. For example, test procedure TP123A might be used for release A and TP123B might be used for release B. Even though both have the same purpose and even expected results, however, another test procedure TP201 may be applicable to all releases. So we are having three release documents in this example, which is TP123A, TP123B, TP201. So these both are may be same or may be different, but TP201 is the combined release document. So we have to refer everything in the correct way. Otherwise, it will be leading to a false kind of thing, and we will just we are just reading that document and starting our work, and we are just not following the correct version of the document. So configuration is mainly using for this version purpose. Okay, a good configuration management system will ensure that the testers can identify exactly what code they are testing, as well as have control over the test documentation such as test plan, test specification, defect log, etc. Configuration management, what can be stored under configuration management and why is it important? So what can be stored? Mainly the version you have to remember, and in this configuration management. Now, why is important to have effective configuration management? So this is just a theory. Now we have just completed this fifth chapter, and this is the summary. So when I have already shared you this slide. Just read the summaries of each chapter, which is very important, because in summary they are just explaining what you mainly have to concentrate or focus in the whole chapter. So you can just revise the things from this summary. So in that way we have completed this. Now I just want to ask you, like, if you are ready to learn that sixth chapter from today or tomorrow, you both will be available or not?